All right, as we talked about earlier, we're joined by Michael Brandt, the CEO of H.V.M.N. We talk about it all the time on this show, and it's kind of cool because we're talking about stuff that's being used, right? I mean, this is, I think the stat that's out there is 60% of the Peloton is actually using the Ketone-IQ. I mean, that's a huge number, right? Like, are we for real?
We got a lot of teams out there using it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And let's just say a person walked in off the street, had never listened to the show, they've never heard the word ketone or Ketone-IQ. Give us the 60-second elevator pitch.
Yeah, what the hell is a ketone?
Exactly.
Your body makes ketones. Whenever you do cardio, you make ketones. And actually, whenever you're running low on blood sugar, you make ketones. So if you're fasting, eating low carb, going on a 15-mile run, long bike ride, your body's going to start making ketones. And they're this super efficient form of fuel.
Right.
They create less oxidative stress, so that's good for recovery, to be able to get up and do it again the next day. It feels really good. It's good for your muscles, good for your brain. Your body makes it naturally anyway.
Right.
Always has for 300,000 years.
Right.
Our innovation here, working with the United States Department of Defense, is figuring out how to make a ketone in a bottle. So you drink a shot of this and it's 10 grams of ketone just right in your system. So you have that same, it's nature's super fuel, but also super sci-fi and modern, where we figured out how to put it in a shot.
Okay, so and all right, and then this is what I'm also curious about, because we talk about the percentage of the Peloton that's using it. What do you, if you, maybe you know, and if you know, then say, and if you're not supposed to say it, then give us some variation on it. But what would be their protocol, for example, for a stage in the Tour de France?
Yeah. So what's interesting about the Tour de France, as you all know, is that you're doing it every single day. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about burning the match today. It's about being able to do it again tomorrow. There's a really interesting study by this Belgian group on cyclists where they had this protocol for 3 weeks, training twice a day. It was meant to emulate Tour de France type of conditions. And they had people drinking ketones 3 times a day for 3 weeks versus a placebo group that had the same other nutrition in their life, but no ketones. The ketone group had 15% higher training load and 15% higher power output in the final 30 minutes. At the end of that 3 weeks there's a 2-hour time trial. In the final 30 minutes, they had 15% higher output. So yes, it's like when you take a shot of ketones, you feel it right away on your ride today. But what we're seeing is that when people habitually are in ketosis, have these elevated ketones throughout the day, that their body is able to recover quicker to bounce back and do it over weeks.
What's crazy is if it were 2 or 3 or 4% difference, that already is a game changer. 15%. I mean, that's men and boys kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Well, and talk about how does that affect you mentally? Because we know that cycling and all sports isn't all about how hard you can push. It's like how fast you can react to certain situations. Can you talk about how this helps that?
Yeah. You got the central governor, and if you feel more lit up in your brain or you feel more confident today, you're going to have a better ride. And yeah, there's the game time stuff. Stuff moves quick out there in the Peloton. Ketones cross the blood-brain barrier. The whole reason that humans are really good at making ketones and metabolizing ketones, because when we're infants, we spend a lot of time developing these big human brains that most of us have. And so our human body is really good at using ketones for our brain in particular. They cross the blood-brain barrier. Fat, for instance, does not cross the blood-brain barrier. Fat needs to be turned into ketones to cross the blood-brain barrier. So when you have ketones present, your brain just sucks it up. Mm-hmm. And so that's why a lot of people subjectively, they feel like switched on. They feel like they got that runner's high as soon as they drink some Ketone-IQ. And yeah, it helps with the physiology of performing better and the recovery, but also has that like mental X factor to it. So we actually have a lot of people who are like maybe don't bike as much as you guys and the listeners here, but they're hedge fund managers or attorneys or whatever.
All of George's friends, all George's fancy friends, the guys with the hedge.
No, I feel so. There's different.
George, which hedge fund guy you having dinner with tonight? He's flying in from New York on his jizzy. Which one is it? And then the family's coming. You're staying in another hedge fund guy's house, right?
I'm actually having dinner with you tonight.
Cool thing. So you brought these for us, the shots. Now I'm sitting here just sipping on one. And I just, I think it's cool. It's the right thing to look. There is a bit of a distinct taste. However, I have watched the taste evolve, right? If you go back 2 years, 4 years, 6, undrinkable, right? This is, it's got a bit of a distinct taste, but it's not a lot here. And again, the results speak for themselves. Like you give me 15%, I'd drink gasoline.
No.
It tastes weird for a reason. for sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and when we launched the world's first ketone ester in 2017, our first big customer on that was the U.S. Department of Defense Special Operations Command. So we got a $6 million contract with Special Operations. Pete Pace, the former chair of the Joint Chiefs, he reported to Bush and then Obama, highest ranking military officer, period. He's a board advisor. So when we had our V1 tasted like battery acid. But Navy SEALs jumping out of planes, Green Berets, like they'll drink it. And one of the big innovations we've made over the last few years, and we just launched the new version in January of this year, is we did a lot of work on the taste because, we're launching this into grocery stores and gyms, and I get it, like you guys, Navy SEALs, whatnot, can like get some hair on their chest and drink battery acid, but we're trying to the vision is that ketones should be everywhere. The way that collagen or omega-3 or caffeine, like these nutritional primitives, this should be everywhere. So
that was my question was, obviously we're seeing the most elite athletes just completely burying themselves every day. This helps performance, but what does this do for the weekend warrior that you only get to ride once to the midweek and maybe a couple on the weekend? What's that look like?
You'll feel better. Like you'll feel more, in the pocket when you go out for your ride. I think that means a lot to people. Right?
And then the recovery. If you go long.
Michael, you know what the great Jay-Z said? Do you know?
He said a lot of things.
The great Jay-Z once said, he said this. He said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Okay, so 15%, that's what I'm talking about.
And talk about when you first launched. I got two questions for you. When you first launched this, talk about the cost of this particular amount of this and what it costs now, because it was very cost prohibitive initially.
Yeah, big time.
So not everybody can do it. What's talk about that.
Well, when we first launched, it was $33 a bottle. What you're holding right there is $4.95. We played around with the dosing a little bit as well. So we brought down the price basically 2/3 per gram, and we changed the dosing a little bit more just so you can have one bottle if you want a lighter dose, you can have two bottles if you want a heavy dose. So we brought down the price a lot. A lot of what we've been doing with our work with the DoD is figuring out taste, supply chain scalability, how to simplify things and make it, if coffee costs $18 a coffee, not that many people would drink it. Maybe Navy SEALs and tour riders would drink it. Once it costs $5, all of a sudden everyone's drinking coffee every day.
A latte costs $5 or more, right?
Yeah.
And then secondly, do you build a tolerance to drinking ketones?
That's a great question. And the answer is no. Like the way to think about ketone is more like water and less like caffeine, where water is a primitive that's helping all of your body functions throughout the day. Do you develop a tolerance to water? No. Like it's going to help you be more hydrated and energized at 11 a.m. At 7 p.m., you have some water. It's going to help your body to recover and start getting ready to reset. So you don't develop a tolerance to water. You don't develop a tolerance to like protein either. These things that are primitives, or we consider ketones are a substrate, metabolic substrate. You don't develop a tolerance to that. Drugs, on the other hand, something like caffeine that's like interfering with specific hormones, adenosine, caffeine blocks your sleep hormone, adenosine. There you can develop tolerance, but the difference is a substrate, like a primitive that's helping everything in your body versus a targeted hormone blocker drug.
Let's have a little fun before we let you go, because we ran into you last night. We were having dinner and you walked by and you were wearing a T-shirt that said the Burning Man Ultra Marathon.
That's right.
And we were all like, wait, is that for real? Like, is that for real? Like,
it is for real.
How long is that run?
It's 50K, so
50K
30
at
miles.
Burning Man. But for the record, I've never been to Burning Man. I was asked to go this year. I don't know if I can make it, but I want to go. But I've just seen all the pictures. I would
take your spot. I happily
I see all these pictures of never mind. But so there's an actual ultra marathon at Burning Man.
Yeah.
Running around the whatever they call.
The playa,
The playa.
You do a few laps around the playa. Burning Man's crazy. Yeah.
Now, was it, and just be honest with us, was that fueled by Ketone-IQ, or was there some other different types of octane?
Lots of water.
You don't know you're in pain no matter what.
There was different types of octane. There was also ketones involved, yes. I think it's actually important to clarify that like ketones aren't meant to like swap out carbs or caffeine. Yeah. What's cool about it is it stacks. Like, you should have, if you're trying to bike hard, you should have carbs and ketones, right? It's like within carbs, you know how everyone talks about having a breadth of types of carbs. You want maltodextrose and glucose and fructose, right? You want a few different types of carbohydrates, right? All the cool shots these days. have a breadth, because you want to parallel all these different pathways of carbs into your system. You want fast carbs, slow carbs. Ketones are just a whole other pathway in. So anyway, I was definitely stacking ketones plus caffeine plus carbs. Other people were stacking some real interesting stuff. I was in the top.
That's where I kind of got to just go see it for myself. That's what I was going.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm sitting here looking at Michael, and I'm like, you look like you're going to leave here and go on some kind of crazy Forrest Gump run.
Let's go.
Right?
Yeah. I love to run. It's my happy place. I mean, you guys get it. It's scratch the itch.
Exactly. Cool, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for supporting the show. I know people are super curious about this. And look, the proof is in the pudding, right? 60% of the Pelotons using it. The studies that are out there show that over continued usage, 15% performance gain.
Not only that, I got my stash right here that I'm taking
every day. Look how he's just hitting it every day. and no wonder I get my ass kicked on the. You might be giving it to some of the people that vote for you.
Well, he's got to play tennis after the ride too. He needs the extra fuel.
Yeah, cool. All right,
thanks for having me on. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see. The Tour de France finally starts climbing tomorrow. 2 epic days. We'll see you all in the morning.